try to go ahead and do like a little intro before I start the video. Um, I know covering the Bible gonna be probably that's like a big task or whatever like that, but I don't know. It's something we're gonna try to do. Today we're gonna go ahead and cover chapter 4 and 5. Just wanted to shoot some intro before we get going. Like the video, you like what I'm doing, comment or subscribe. I like the video, it don't matter as long as you get something out of it. Like, I don't know, man. It's like I just wanted to add this part too. Um, Early in the morning, just woke up. First thing I wanted to do was cover the Bible. I feel like that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Some people wake up, first thing they want to do is something negative, smoking or drinking or something like that. But I've been enjoying just teaching myself about the Bible recently because I really don't have a big grasp on it, honestly. And I'm probably still a little sleepy, if I can tell, but hey, got to get up, get my walk in, and get the video done. Yeah, so Genesis chapter 4 is kind of a straightforward story. I'll try to tell it the best I can. If I leave out any details, I'll go back and check it and come in. But basically, after Adam and Eve is kicked out of the Garden of Eden, some years pass. Nobody knows exactly how many years passed. And they end up having two sons, Cain and Abel. That's where chapter 4 is. That's the story centered around Cain and Abel. So it just tells the story of Cain and Abel. One is kind of like a flock herder, like an animal farmer, and one is basically like a farmer, like a crop farmer. Down this road, it's busy. And so that's their jobs. They end up eventually having to prepare an offering for God one day. And I know this ain't another car. Probably gonna go down here. And they both had to prepare an offering for God. Abel prepares his meat for God, and Cain prepares his crop for God. And Abel kind of, gets the favor of God between those two. He probably had the better. I don't feel like I'm being followed. But yeah, Abel gets the favor of God, and Cain he just didn't get the favor that time. He didn't win. And he kind of gets jealous, not kind of. It's like the first, recorded documentation of someone, well, I ain't gonna say first someone, but getting jealous of God. But Cain was jealous, and before you know it, he ended up planning to kill Abel over that. And he invited Abel out one day and ended up killing him. So that's like the first recorded murder in the Bible, Genesis chapter 4. After that, he tries to do the same thing that his dad did, and when he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, after his son killed Abel, he tried to like play it off like he didn't know what was going on, like he didn't know where Abel was at, and he didn't know what happened to Abel, and God asked him, even though God already knew. And that's kind of like a recurring theme in the book of Genesis. Like, God asks you stuff he already know, just to see if you'll tell him the truth or not. And he asked Cain, and Cain didn't tell him the truth. And so God God just, let him know that he had killed Abel. Well, God let him know that he knows that he killed Abel. God didn't kill Abel, so that's a correction on my part. Yeah, so I always do this with the verses or the chapters. So I read an interesting line in chapter 4, and I always just put aside to talk about it. But he at the offering between Abel and Cain, God asked Cain, and he said, well, he didn't ask him, he just told him. He said, because he saw he was visibly upset about, not getting God's favor at the offering. And Cain told him, well, if you do what's right, don't you know that you'll be blessed, or something like that. He was just like basically inferring that Cain probably tried to cheat or cut corners or something like that. That's what I got from it, because the way God spoke to him at the offering, he just told him, like, if you do what's right, don't you know, you'll be blessed or whatever. So that's a that's a good that was a good verse for me. That applies in a lot of things in life, but particularly in the at the offering between them two. I just found that as an interesting line to bring back up. So kind of inferred that Cain probably cheated or did something to kind of try to get over on his brother at the offering, and it didn't work. So after we know that God knows what Cain did, I ain't gonna go that way. It's somebody cutting grass over there. It's gonna be loud. So after that, God knows what Cain did. What do you think God did? What he always do, or what he did in the chapters before then? He cursed God. He cursed Cain specifically, and kicked them out of wherever they were staying there. He kicked them out, and cursed the ground that he was a farmer, so he cursed the ground that he would be planting on or farming on, and it was just pretty ironic because Cain was like, "Well, you kicking me out, And at this point, it's interesting because he said, I'll get killed if you kick me out of where we at. Kind of like he was outside of God's country or God's protection or something like that, so he was kicked out. And he asked God, he say, "Well, don't you know I'll get murdered if I get kicked out or something like that?" And I was just like wondering, like, how much time has went on, how many people have populated the earth at this time. Time is a concept of the Bible that I cannot allow myself to get too into, because it annoys me. It gives me a headache. This person lived for 900 years. This person lived for 1,000 years. On this channel, we're not going to do that. We just going to get straight to the story of what's going on. If there are significant years or something I need to speak about, I will. But yeah, he's talking like, from our perspective, reading it so far, it's like just Adam and Eve and their two sons. But so many years must have went by, but that's not spoken on in the Bible, to where the world's populated some kind of way, and it's not really touched on directly, just like I'm not touching on the time thing directly in my videos. But yeah, God told him, "I'm kick you out." And he said, "Well, if I get kicked out, I'll get killed." And God said, "No, I'm gonna put a protection over you, so if anybody does that, they'll be cursed 7 times over." And that's basically, to my understanding, Genesis chapter 4. After that, God God kicked him out, like I said before. But Cain ended up, getting a wife, having kids, and building his own city, which is kind of ironic to me or weird to me. I don't know which one to say. But yeah. After that, the Bible starts explaining this stuff, but I don't have the capacity to keep up. Who's this daddy? Who's this person daddy? Who's this person granddaddy? The Bible does that sometime, and it starts doing that right after this story. The only thing that I found significant and I did research on was that Adam and Eve ended up having another son named Seth, and apparently he is in Jesus's lineage. He's directly related to Jesus some kind of way. And that's pretty much gonna end the video for me today, and it's gonna also end Genesis chapter 4. I looked over Genesis chapter 5. It's one of those chapters that I don't want to make a video for. I'll just briefly speak on it here. It's just like where they had another family tree. Like Genesis 5 is like a family tree chapter where it's like, you know, this person's daddy, this person's son, this son. It just kind of tells you as the world's populating, even though, like I said in a couple clips back, the world was already populated to some degree. So I guess these people are important some kind of way. But as we keep going, I'll bring them up if they are. Only thing I found noticeable that stood out to me was that Noah was born at that point, and his 3 sons was born, and you know he's kind of like universally known. So just found the need to bring that up. So see you in chapter 6.